Welcome to Daily Office Devotions. I'm Reggie Kidd, and every Monday through Friday I offer devotional observations on some portion of that day's readings from morning prayer in the Book of Common Prayer. Thanks so much for joining me this Thursday following the 18th Sunday after Pentecost. Because of my travel schedule, last week and this week, we're taking a detour in our devotionals. Today's is the 9th of 10 devotionals that treat Paul's last 3 letters, those to his ministry proteges, Timothy and Titus. Last week, in the first 3 devotionals on the so-called pastoral epistles, 1st and 2nd Timothy and Titus, we saw how God overcomes our lack of faith, hope, and love. Following those 3 meditations are 4 devotionals in which we show how God implants in us basic ingredients of human flourishing, what are often called the classical cardinal virtues, godliness and temperance, which we treated last Thursday and Friday, and justice and courage, which we treated Monday and Tuesday of this week. Finally, in these last 3 devotionals, we see how Paul inspires us to faith, hope, and love. We closed this series on the pastoral epistles where we started, with faith, hope, and love. These 3 are often called the theological virtues. And today we focus on hope. These days, hope seems like a fool's notion. Words from W.H. Auden's poem, For the Time Being, a Christmas oratorio, ring true. Nothing can save us that is possible. We who must die demand a miracle. Indeed, nothing can save us that is possible. The reality of this world mocks the classical cardinal virtues and their portrait of the good and noble life. There's no salvation there. Amid our communication revolution, wisdom and truth are drowned in an ocean of mis- and disinformation. Argue for Paul's good religion, eusebeia, only to find yourself contending against the spirit of Lone Ranger spiritualism, custom-designed Christs, and well-deserved suspicion of organized religion and the institutionalized church. Seek to advance justice only to get dragged into irresolvable disputes over whose definition of justice is in play, that of libertarians or that of communitarians. All along fearing that self-interest is in the driver's seat in most people's definition of what is right and what is wrong. Argue that in a world that puts before us an infinity of choices, the first choice is to decide to curb our appetites, only to invite stares of incredulity and eye rolls that silently accuse. What a prude. Sociologist Peter Berger says we live with a heretical imperative, the demand that every value be chosen, not prescribed or given or assumed. It's an imperative that says the only real heresy is self-limitation. It's an imperative that scoffs at the suggestion that many of our social problems would dissipate if we tamed our lust and greed and ambition. But the miracle did happen. Nonetheless, into a world not altogether different from ours, Auden maintains, the miracle that his characters demand did transpire. Indeed, the miracle became incarnate. Hope was born on Christmas Day, and hope was confirmed on Easter morning. The characters in Auden's poem recognized the shattering, Tolkien would call it eucatastrophic wonder of what is happening to them and to their world through the birth of the Christ child. Our sullen wish to go back to the womb, to have no past, no future, is refused. Tonight, for the first time, the prison gates have opened. Music and sudden light have interrupted our routine tonight and swept the filth of habit from our hearts. Oh, here and now, our endless journey starts. We live, therefore, in Audens for the time being, that period between the two great appearings, the epiphania of God's miracle. As Paul notes, Christ appeared in humility to redeem us. Titus chapter 2, verse 11, chapter 3, verse 4, and 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 10. And Christ will appear in glory to consummate all things. Titus chapter 2, verse 13, 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 14, 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 1 and 8. And so, we can note the hopefulness with which the apostle faces even the prospect of martyrdom in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 1 through 8. He knows that God, the judge of the living and the dead, will execute perfect justice in his own time and in his own way, verse 1. Meanwhile, knowing that hard times are ahead, verse 3, Paul urges the things that make for good religion. He wants the legacy he leaves to be one of heralding the gospel, convincing, rebuking, encouraging, and teaching, and these things with all patience. Verse 2. And Paul models for Timothy a perspective of courage and self-mastery as he faces his own end with equilibrium, a sense of completion and contentment. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. A sense of having grown in his own faith. Compare his former, I acted in faithlessness, with his final, I have kept the faith. 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 13b, and 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7c. And a hopefulness that death will yield to glory. There is reserved for me the crown of righteousness. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 8a. Friends, we can resolve to let Christ our hope urge us on to courage and to resolve in our own promotion of good religion, justice, and self-control. Because despite everything we see around us that could bring despair, Paul boldly asserts the same crown of righteousness is reserved, not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 8c. In that knowledge and in that hope, may you be blessed this day.